ladies and gents. We've had the chaotic sprint race for the Brazilian Grand Prix, and it's a massive advantage to Lando Norris. The race couldn't have gone any more better for him. The big incident, we'll get straight to it. Oscar Piastri, lap 6, dropped it. A Mario Kart type move from Lando Norris, a splash of water onto the racing line. Kimi Antonelli got on the radio quickly saying there's water on track. He just about avoided it. But Oscar Piastri, who came in behind, he was a little wide and onto the curb, which was probably not the right place to be. And off he went, and it was the same for Nico Hülkenberg, who followed suit. It was massive crash, and Franco Colapinto also, all three drivers on the same corner on lap 6-7. Yeah, it was a massive dent for Oscar Piastri. He's just got to hope his weekend doesn't implode now, like we've seen in Azerbaijan, where he had that incident in sprint. And it just went from bad to worse from there. He's got pace around here. He is good. So he just needs to sort of restart, refresh, and revamp his title challenge. Because we've seen in Brazil, it's not all over yet. The race can be very, very different. We've seen it last year with Lando Norris on pole and Max 17th, and you thought, this is the chance for Lando Norris to take a big dent into Max Verstappen's championship lead. It never occurred that way. Max won from 17th. So as much as this now is a big chunk into, or a bigger advantage now for Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, if he can just perform well in the next race, it's back to a point or two, and with 3 races to go and another sprint race still yet, anything can change. So he just needs to try and get on top of things. It can happen quickly. It was a damp track with a drying track in the end. Everybody just went on the slicks, mediums or softs. And so that, that can all change in the race. In qualifying, there's more rain potentially coming, a cyclone, so qualifying will be big for Oscar Piastri. But into the race, Max Verstappen was a good start from him. He got himself into 5th place initially, and then obviously with Oscar's crash, got himself into P4, but he was really unhappy on the radio again, just saying with the bouncing on the car, he just couldn't get it to turn in the rear. He was not happy with it at all. And he wasn't really pressuring the Mercedes at any point, really. But with saying that, there was parts of that race he was the fastest man on the track towards the end. So there is still some pace in that Red Bull. It's whether he can and the Red Bull team can unlock it. They've got the gap now from the sprint to the main qualifying, where parc fermé rules are lifted, so they can work on the car and change setups. And Red Bull have generally been very, very good at doing that and getting it in the window. And we see a different Max Verstappen and Red Bull in the qualifying and the main race from there onwards. So a little bit of miracle work needed from them. But the Mercedes and Kimi Antonelli drove a fantastic race all over the back of Lando Norris towards the end. Another couple more laps, and I think Lando Norris on his soft tyres will really struggled. But we always say this, another couple of laps, but that's just really good tyre management by the drivers to make it to that point. Antonelli never really got close enough for a dive into Lando Norris, because if he did do that and he took that dive, I'm sure Norris would have tried to just, it makes no sense to try and race him at that point. And it could have been a first win for Kimi Antonelli, but as it stands, it was a brilliant sprint race for him. Really good to see him back up. He beats his teammate after beating him in Mexico. He's done it again in the sprint race, so really good confidence from him. Hopefully he'll be hoping that can carry on into the rest of the weekend. But who knows what we're going to get, because the Mercedes, I didn't expect them to go well round here, but they really have. It was George Russell finished in 3rd place in the end, Max Verstappen 4th, and then came the first of the Ferrari, Charles Leclerc, and they didn't really seem to be on it, really. They had just about the faster car than the Aston Martins, but they just didn't have any pace to try and take it to Red Bull or Mercedes and McLaren are way out of sight for them. So an awful lot of work to be done for them. They're saying that they're really struggling with some sort of power power unit engine issue as to why they're so slow down the long straight. Yes, they've got a little bit more downforce, they said, but that doesn't mean shouldn't be the difference of what they're actually seeing out on track. So they're hoping that they can try and fix that for the qualifying and the sprint race. So hopefully we might see a slightly different and better performing Ferrari than we have so far this weekend. But one of the stars alongside Kimi Antonelli is Pierre Gasly with a brilliant P8, a point in the Alpine. He was saying that they do look fast around here. Can't explain why, but they are, and he did a really good job. A brilliant point for him in a car that's just bought 0 upgrades for an awfully long time. And he can be mega happy with that. Equally as disappointing as race was the man behind him. Lance Stroll started in the points and dropped a couple of places at the start, was down in P9 and finished there in the end. And with all the chaos going on around and ahead, that's a pretty poor race, to be honest with you. Yeah, I just don't understand it. Fernando Alonso was in P6, a really good result for him in the Aston Martin. He brings home points again, but yeah, disappointing from his teammate Lance Stroll. Lewis Hamilton was again a good race, made up 3 places at the start, got himself up into P8 and then finished in P7 in the end, really because of that Oscar Piastri incident. He was closing on Fernando Alonso, but it didn't look like he was going to make any move, and it was not much of a threat for Fernando Alonso. And that was it, really. And we got the massive smash. We got the red flags, obviously, with the Piastri and all them incidents, because they were trying to fix the barriers. And then we got a massive smash right at the end at turn 1. And because it wouldn't have affected the race of where it took place, they finished the race under yellow flag conditions. Otherwise, it would definitely have been a red flag. But a massive crash for Gabriel Bortoleto. Whether they can fix that car for the qualifying, we'll soon find out. There's a really short turnaround time for them, and that car was in absolute bits. Good to see him. He was out okay, walking in the pit lane afterwards, so it looks like physically he should be fine. But whether the car will make it onto the qualifying, into qualifying, is a completely different matter. It'd be a miracle if they can pull that around. It looked absolutely smashed to bits. I think it was an error possibly on Gabby Bortoleto's part. Went for a late move on the inside. I think it was with the Williams, but then, it was the Williams of Alex Albon. Still had his DRS open, and everybody else either in front or behind had already closed there, so he was really giving it some beans. And then he flicked it to the inside as the DRS was closing and under braking, and in them conditions the rear just gave it too much to do on that rear tyres, and off he went with a huge smash, airborne at one point. A scary looking incident, but thankfully all okay on that front. And that leaves us on to the qualifying, and it'll be really interesting. A lot of teams with work to be done, and I think that's what's good about this now, that they do have the opportunity, that Parc Fermé is lifted. They can make changes, because it wasn't possible before sort of reversal of these regs, after some of the teams sort of complaining on that, because once we've seen the issue once, your cards were out, everybody could see what you were playing with for the race, but now you can switch things up. It'll be interesting to see how Oscar Piastri reacts. Lando Norris will be running himself to the bank and just hoping for more of the same, but it never happens in Brazil, and that's what's so brilliant about it. And we're looking forward to the qualifying session coming up. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment. As always, see you on the next one.